Hello, New York Yankees fans. We have brand new exclusive videos and the latest news for you. Before we get started, we'd like to invite you to join our channel and give this video a like. It's crucial to get exclusive access to the latest updates. The rumor mill around the Bronx has been humming with a different kind of electricity lately, the kind that feels heavier, deeper, and more serious than the usual chatter, because the idea circulating is that Luis Castillo is emerging as the new arm anchoring the Yankees' rotation. When people close to the organization whisper about this possibility, they do so with a tone that suggests vision rather than coincidence, as if the front office has been quietly aligning the stars for a move that changes the identity of the pitching staff. Castillo is spoken about not just as another starter, but as a presence, someone whose rhythm on the mound can alter the emotional temperature of a clubhouse. The speculation frames him as a pitcher built for pressure, for bright lights, and for the endless expectations that follow anyone wearing pinstripes. Fans imagine the way his delivery would look under the stadium lights, the way his tempo could calm a defense, and the way his confidence might ripple through a rotation that has been searching for stability. In these conversations, Castillo is not a short-term fix, but a statement, a signal that the Yankees are thinking about dominance, durability, and October-caliber pitching even before the season truly breathes. It is all rumor, of course, but it is the kind that feels rooted in logic and ambition. What makes this speculation so compelling is how naturally Castillo seems to fit the narrative the Yankees have been trying to write. For years, the organization has talked about balance, about pairing power with finesse, and about finding starters who can survive deep into games without unraveling when the moment tightens. In whispered scenarios, Castillo becomes that ideal blend, a pitcher whose arsenal suggests adaptability rather than predictability. Observers imagine opposing lineups struggling to time his pitches, constantly adjusting but never fully settling in. The idea floating around is not that he would carry the rotation alone, but that his presence would recalibrate everyone else, pushing teammates into roles that better suit their strengths. This is the kind of rumor that paints a picture of synergy, where one arm changes the shape of an entire staff. The Yankees, according to this speculative chatter, see Castillo as someone who thrives on responsibility, who wants the ball when the narrative is loudest. It is less about raw statistics and more about demeanor, the sense that he belongs in high-leverage moments. Even without confirmation, fans can already hear the cadence of his starts becoming events rather than routine appearances. There's also a philosophical layer to this rumor that makes it resonate. The Yankees have long been associated with star power, yet in recent stretches the conversation has shifted towards substance and sustainability. Castillo symbolizes that shift in the imaginations of many followers. He represents a pitcher who does not rely solely on velocity, but on understanding hitters, sequencing pitches, and adjusting within an at-bat. In speculative discussions, insiders suggest the Yankees value that cerebral edge, especially in an era where lineups are built to punish mistakes instantly. Castillo's rumored arrival is framed as a counterpunch to that reality, a way of slowing the game down. The idea is that he would bring a calm authority to the mound, a sense that even when traffic builds, the situation is manageable. Fans talk about how that mindset could influence younger pitchers watching from the dugout, absorbing habits and routines. This rumor is not loud in a flashy way, but steady and deliberate, mirroring the type of pitcher Castillo is imagined to be. It feels like a move that aligns with long-term thinking rather than impulse. Another layer of speculation centers on how the New York environment could amplify Castillo rather than consume him. Some pitchers are overwhelmed by the scrutiny, but the chatter suggests that Castillo is wired differently. The belief is that he draws energy from intensity, that the expectations would sharpen his focus instead of distracting him. In these imagined scenarios, the Yankees coaching staff plays a significant role, tailoring game plans that maximize his strengths while protecting him from unnecessary exposure. The rumor paints a picture of collaboration, of trust built quickly between pitcher and organization. Fans speculate about the way catchers would work with him, about how scouting reports would evolve, and about how his presence would influence the rhythm of a series. It is not portrayed as a gamble, but as a calculated alignment of philosophy and talent. Even skeptics admit that the idea makes sense, which is often how the most persistent rumors gain traction. When speculation feels logical, it spreads faster and sticks longer. The fan reaction to this rumor has its own narrative arc. At first, there is cautious optimism, then curiosity, and eventually a kind of collective visualization. Supporters imagine the rotation lined up, imagine the confidence that comes from knowing there is a dependable arm taking the mound regularly. They talk about relief for the bullpen, about fewer nights of scrambling, and about the psychological advantage of setting the tone early in a series. Castillo, in these conversations, becomes a symbol of order and reliability. The rumor does not promise perfection, but consistency, which might be even more valuable. Fans know that championships are rarely built on flashes alone, but on the grind of dependable performances. That is why this speculation resonates so deeply, because it speaks to a craving for stability in a sport defined by unpredictability. Even without official confirmation, the idea has already shaped expectations and hopes. Ultimately, this first wave of rumor feels less like gossip and more like a slow burn. It is the kind of speculation that grows through repetition, through nods and quiet acknowledgments rather than dramatic leaks. Castillo is spoken about as if he is already part of the conversation, already penciled into imagined rotations and hypothetical playoff matchups. The Yankees, in this narrative, are not chasing headlines but building a foundation. Whether or not the move materializes, the rumor itself reveals what fans and observers believe the team needs and values. Castillo becomes the embodiment of that belief, a pitcher who represents control, resilience, and competitive calm. As long as this speculation continues to circulate, it will shape the way people talk about the Yankees' future, keeping the idea alive that a single arm can redefine the direction of an entire season. As the rumor deepens, the conversation around Luis Castillo shifts from fit to impact, from whether he belongs in the Yankees' rotation to how dramatically he could reshape its identity. In speculative circles, people talk about momentum, about how a reliable starter can influence not just one game, but an entire stretch of season. Castillo is imagined as a tone setter, someone who starts carrying an air of expectation rather than anxiety. The Yankees, according to this narrative, crave that predictability, the sense that when he takes the mound the plan is clear and the margin for chaos narrows. Fans picture series opening with his presence, calming nerves and forcing opponents to play catch up mentally. It is not that every outing would be dominant, but that most would be competitive, controlled, and purposeful. This rumor paints Castillo as a stabilizing force, someone who absorbs pressure rather than deflects it. In New York, that trait is often the difference between fleeting success and lasting respect. Speculation also frames Castillo as a bridge between eras, a pitcher who blends old-school durability with modern adaptability. In these imagined scenarios, the Yankees see him as someone who can handle volume without sacrificing effectiveness. That idea resonates with fans who remember rotations defined by endurance and resilience. Castillo, in this rumor, becomes a link to that tradition while still fitting the contemporary game. People talk about how his approach could influence pitch counts, about how his efficiency might preserve the bullpen over long stretches. This is the kind of value that rarely dominates headlines, but quietly accumulates wins over time. The Yankees are rumored to appreciate that nuance, to understand that championships are built in the margins. Castillo is imagined as a pitcher who thrives in those margins, who understands when to challenge hitters and when to induce weak contact. The speculation emphasizes intelligence as much as talent, portraying him as a craftsman rather than a showman. There is also a personal dimension to this rumor that makes it compelling. Fans speculate about Castillo's mentality, about how he might embrace the narrative of becoming the new arm of the rotation. In New York, roles are magnified, and the idea of being the dependable starter carries weight. The chatter suggests that Castillo would welcome that responsibility, seeing it as an opportunity rather than a burden. People imagine interviews filled with quiet confidence, with language focused on preparation and accountability. This speculation humanizes the rumor, transforming it from a transactional possibility into a story about ambition and growth. The Yankees, in this imagined version, are not just acquiring a pitcher, but aligning with a mindset. That alignment is what makes the rumor feel durable, something that persists even when other names fade from conversation. Another thread in this speculative tapestry involves the ripple effect on the rest of the roster. Castillo's rumored presence is seen as liberating for other pitchers, allowing them to settle into roles that better match their skill sets. Fans talk about balance returning to the rotation, about reduced pressure on arms that have been stretched too thin. In these discussions, Castillo is not a savior, but a catalyst, someone whose reliability allows others to flourish. The Yankees are imagined as a team that functions more cohesively because of this single addition. That idea reinforces the belief that baseball success is collective, built on complementary pieces rather than isolated stars. The rumor thrives because it aligns with that philosophy, suggesting a smarter, more integrated approach to roster construction. As the speculation continues, it also becomes a mirror reflecting fan expectations. The Yankees are expected to pursue excellence, and Castillo fits that expectation without feeling reckless. The rumor is not about chasing hype, but about securing substance. Fans discuss how this move would signal seriousness, a commitment to pitching as a foundation rather than an afterthought. Castillo is imagined as a long-term answer, someone whose presence could be felt beyond a single season. This forward-looking aspect gives the rumor staying power, because it taps into hopes that extend beyond immediate gratification. The Yankees, in this narrative, are planning, not reacting, and Castillo is central to that plan. In the end, the rumor of Luis Castillo becoming the new arm of the Yankees' rotation lives in that space between possibility and belief. It is sustained by logic, by fit, and by the shared desire for stability and competitiveness. Whether it remains speculation or evolves into reality, it has already shaped the conversation, offering a vision of what the Yankees could be. Castillo stands at the center of that vision, a pitcher imagined not just throwing pitches, but anchoring an identity. In the world of sports rumors, that is often how truth begins, not with certainty, but with a story that feels right enough to keep telling. But before we continue, please remember to join our channel and give this video a like. Your support allows us to keep bringing you the latest news about the New York Yankees. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments. The speculation refuses to cool down because the idea of Luis Castillo in pinstripes keeps unlocking new layers of imagination among fans and insiders alike. In these ongoing whispers, people start to talk less about mechanics and more about symbolism, about how certain players seem destined to define chapters of a franchise's history. Castillo is framed as that kind of figure, not through bravado, but through quiet consistency. The rumor suggests that the Yankees see in him a pitcher who could normalize excellence, turning quality outings into expectation rather than exception. Supporters imagine how that consistency would change the emotional rhythm of a long season, reducing panic during rough stretches and reinforcing confidence during winning runs. In these imagined scenarios, Castillo becomes a reference point, the starter others measure themselves against. The conversation even drifts into how opponents might prepare differently, stacking lineups with caution rather than aggression. This rumor thrives because it paints a future that feels calmer, more controlled, and more professional. It suggests a Yankees team, less reactive and more deliberate, anchored by an arm that embodies patience and authority on the mound. Another fascinating angle in this speculation is how Castillo's rumored role intersects with leadership without requiring a loud voice. The chatter paints him as a lead-by-example presence, someone whose routines, preparation, and composure speak louder than speeches. In New York, where personalities can clash and narratives can spiral, that type of leadership is often undervalued until it is absent. Fans imagine younger pitchers watching Castillo between starts, absorbing habits, understanding how to navigate adversity without theatrics. The Yankees, in this rumor, are not just acquiring innings, but culture. Castillo is imagined as someone who respects the game's grind, who treats every start as part of a larger mission. This narrative resonates deeply with supporters who crave professionalism over drama. The rumor gains strength because it aligns with an idealized version of what a cornerstone pitcher should be: steady, accountable, and relentlessly prepared. As the discussion stretches on, the rumor almost becomes self-sustaining, fueled by how naturally it fits into the Yankees' broader storyline. People stop asking if it could happen and start asking how it would feel if it did. Castillo, in these conversations, is already being mentally integrated into future rotations, future matchups, and future expectations. The speculation becomes less about transaction and more about identity, about how one arm can influence perception from within and outside the organization. Even critics acknowledge that the idea makes sense, which only adds credibility to the chatter. In the end, this rumor persists because it offers coherence, a narrative where talent, mindset, and organizational philosophy align seamlessly. Whether or not it becomes reality, the idea of Luis Castillo as the new arm of the Yankees rotation has already taken on a life of its own, shaping hope, debate, and vision in a way only the most compelling sports rumors can. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the New York Yankees, please subscribe to our channel and give us a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.